Hi, Robin. Good to see you. Thank you so much for asking me this wonderful question. Well, what do you think? Do artificial intelligence models actually have intuitive understanding, or are they just correlating things without a deeper abstraction? Well, that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. I will try to have my go at it and try to answer you as much as possible in as much detail as possible. So let's get to it. Let's get started. I'll start with my understanding of reasoning. Okay, and when it comes to reasoning, I think there are three ways to go about, pointing things to pointing, answers out, and I think it should help us in getting to an answer. Number one is circular reasoning. For example, I do things because you do things, and you do things because I do things. That's a circular reasoning, okay? And I could say that this is true about artificial intelligence algorithms, because, and then I would go about making a circular argument because they do this, which validates my point, which further proves this, and that is circular reasoning. I don't want to go about that way because most people don't find it reassuring to, have circular reasoning part of their, speech. So let's ditch that. But important note, this exists and should be noted. It's totally fine to go about circular reasoning the right way. For example, I love you because you love me, and you love me because I love you. Circular reasoning can be for our benefit. All right. Number two is about induction. Number two is about induction. For example, I do things this way because my dad did it that way, and my dad does the things that way because my grandfather did it that way. So that's induction. Things are going, in certain ways because of induction. Okay? That's perfectly valid as far as I'm concerned. Induction can make our, families happy, my dad loves me. My grandfather loved my dad. My grandfather's father loved my grandfather. So love passes on through generations. And I hope to be loving my child and children in the future. So there you have it. Induction can make love progress the right ways. Well, is induction going to be valid for our argumentative thinking about whether artificial intelligence models can actually have intuitive understanding, or are they just correlating things without deeper abstractions? Well, good question. I think induction can go the right way at this because some people believe that there's an evolutionary argument for artificial intelligence, which is that intelligence was born with the creation of an organism that was intelligent to, react to the environment and find ways to, reproduce itself, and then become smarter and better adapt to its environment, and then take control and repeat the cycle. But then, there's this evolution that goes through the genealogy of this, new being. And then some people believe that artificial intelligence is the next step in the evolution of intelligence. So I would go as far as saying that induction goes to serve these people who believe in this, because they may be right about this by using induction, that artificial intelligence may be the next step in the evolutionary ladder of intelligence, and who knows, they may be right. But I personally don't necessarily agree with this. I don't believe that there are certain ladders to evolution. I think evolution allows species to speciate. That is a word, speciate, and then try out different variations and live on with each other in harmony. Like there's no necessary you know differentiator between one species, whether it's being better or not. That's just my take. I like to live in harmony as far as I go about it. So yeah. And then number three is a definitive answer. A definitive answer is like when somebody, usually little kids, ask questions like, why is that this way? And then they repeat the question again and again, like, why is this way? Why is it this way? Why is it this way? And after like 7 why is it this ways, you get to this, go-to answer that is like, well, just because, or because God made it so, or because your dad told you so, or because you get the idea. So that's the definitive answer idea. So so my 3 go-to ways of thinking about the word or thinking about answers were circular reasoning, perfectly fine. I love you because you love me, and I love you. You love me because I love you, right? Perfectly fine, circular reasoning. I love it. The other one was induction. Generations love each other, and then I hope to love the next generation as much as the previous generation loved me. Induction, perfectly fine. I think this is perfectly great. And the third one is a definitive answer. And then why is it? Because of love. All right. And what is love? Well, love is love. Definitive answer. So not quite satisfying almost all the time, but it is a definite answer for sure. And yeah. So why did I tell you all this? Because I think it could help. It could help because to get back to your question, what do you think of this? Do artificial intelligence models actually have intuitive understanding, or are they just correlating things without a deeper abstraction? I can point to examples that would serve as sort of evidence that an artificial intelligence model has intuitive understanding, or so as far as I'm concerned, has intuitive understanding about what the model is perceiving about a certain reality or a certain model. Okay? Which would then lead to my answer being yes. Yes, I believe that artificial intelligence models actually have intuitive understanding. I could give you if I could do that, then the next probable answer would be that induction would come into play as well, and then maybe some sort of inkling of intuitive understanding would show up at the first model of this certain software, and then the next one would be better at it, and the next one would be better at it, and maybe the next one would be even better at it. So induction would then cause a further reinforcement to my argument, and then a circular kind of reasoning would be then to show you that this is this way, and I'm actually using artificial intelligence software to model certain realities, and I then do this with this, and then the circular reasoning comes into play again. So as far as I'm concerned, which is again totally subjective at this point, is it or is it not? I think that's a good question, right? Because I call it subjective, but I may be wrong about this. This may be as objective as it can be. Who knows? Who knows, right? But what I'm thinking about is that we have had the great joy, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you and I had the great joy to attend a lecture at the University of Toronto. Not just a lecture, but I would call it a seminar, a course at the University of Toronto, where we had introduction to certain proofs in mathematics. And this was done in a wonderful fashion, and that professor has showed us examples about like proofs, like for example, what's it mean to have a direct proof, like you show things directly in mathematics, or what does it mean to have an indirect proof, you show things indirectly, or what does it mean to have a counter positive, or what does it mean to have, use induction again. So I think these are the certain kind of tool sets that I like going back to, and further, trying to articulate and improvise at the same time, while relying on these tools that I've been taught. So, am I better at intuitive understanding than an artificial intelligence? Perhaps not, right? That's the worrying question. That's the worrying reality. Like, is Patrick Pelagi better than an artificial intelligence software at trying to articulate his own thoughts? Well, let me put it this way, and I'm going to go back to this definitive pointing things to things, right? Some people live with a certain kind of condition that prevents them from articulating their own thoughts. I'm thinking of Stephen Hawking. The late Stephen Hawking was a great professor, and he was unable to communicate with the world had it not been for the help of a computer. Okay? And in that sense, an artificial intelligence eye tracking algorithm was tracking his thoughts real time, and that is magical, I think. So I think in that sense, I would go as far as saying that that's a definitive answer. But you can always say that that is not true. That there's just some sort of adapter that is not the real thoughts. That's just an adapter to hooking onto a real human brain that could understand things better, and that is why this is not a good answer. Well, then I would counter your argument, which I have. This is out of control. But then I would counter your argument by saying that what does it mean to correlate things? Because as far as I understand it, people, and I'm not talking about like your perspective, I'm just talking about like how I assume others, maybe you're not in this group, but I would go as far as saying that there's many people out there who believe that who know this saying that correlation doesn't equal causation, and they want to get to the root of every cause. And I am perfectly happy with the opposite, which is the opposite group, which I would define as saying that correlation is nevertheless the best thing that we can measure. Okay, so we can seldom get to the root of much things that cause effects, but we can always attempt to measure correlation, and then we can make sense of the world out of the things that we can measure and correlate things, right? So how do we get to the bottom of things? We try to get to the bottom of every cause, every causation, and then that makes a certain kind of reality appear in front of our very own eyes, which then reassures us and then makes us believe in a certain kind of answer, an answer that we were looking for. Perhaps we have been ought to be looking for these kind of answers. But I'm not convinced that that's the right way to go about it. I'm not convinced that that's the right way to go about it, to go and try to get to the bottom of the answers. I think it's just perfectly fine, perhaps romantic, to dance with ideas without knowing where they lead us and without expecting them to take us home. because home is far, far away from us, and yet we should nevertheless enjoy our journey here. And as long as it takes us, it's gonna be hopefully a beautiful ride. That's a little bit of romance for you. But I don't know. That was my very, very, humble attempt to try to answer a question. I don't think I can give you a definite answer, but maybe you can. Keep trying. This is gonna be the question of the century, so it doesn't hurt to talk about it. Thank you for asking me that again, and wish you all the very best. Let's keep in touch. All right. Cheers, Robin. See you later.